Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power.
One of the best new coaster editions of 2019 kind of flew under the radar because it wasn't coming to a major park. It was part of the long-delayed and brand-new American Dream Mall in New Jersey, and their indoor theme park called Nickelodeon Universe. For coaster enthusiasts, spring and summer came and went, but there was one more great addition waiting for us. I said great addition? A near clone of Takabisha at Japan's Fuji-Q Highland called TMNT Shellraiser. I got to ride this on its opening day, and today I'm going to talk about the world's steepest coaster. Let's kick this off by first looking at the stats. 141 feet tall, 62 miles per hour, 3,280 feet of track, 7 inversions, and a 121.5 degree drop. This is a half degree steeper than Takabisha, making it the steepest in the world. This is a Gerstlauer Eurofighter model, similar to what you'll find with Iron Shark at Galveston Pleasure Pier, Tantrum at Six Flags Darien Lake, Mystery Mine at Dollywood, or Daredevil Dive at Six Flags Over Georgia. But this one is so much more than any of the Gerstlauers we have in America. Overseas, you of course have Takabisha in Japan, but you also have Flug von Novgorod in Germany, which also has a similar sequence of events without all of the inversions. The only American coaster that comes to mind that features a launch in the first half and then a lift hill in the second half is Powder Keg at Silver Dollar City, and that's a bizarre S&S conversion of a water coaster. So let's take a look at the elements themselves. You start off with a left-hand turn out of the station, and then you dip down into a right-hand turn and into the first inversion, a Heartline roll. Another left-hand turn leads to a dip, which leads into the launch. And what a quick, quiet LSM launch this is. From 0 to 62 miles an hour in 2 seconds. This is one powerful launch, and it launches you straight into a giant corkscrew, followed by the banana roll, which could be considered 1 or 2 inversions. RCDB considers it 1, but I'm not sure about that. It acts a bit like a cobra roll, but ultimately it doesn't matter. The ride goes through one more giant corkscrew, and then a twisted airtime hill before hitting the brakes. So this alone would make a pretty good ride. And honestly, on my first ride, I actually forgot about the second half because the first half stands on its own as a pretty solid launch coaster. But it's that second half that takes us from a nice coaster to an elite coaster. You hit a turn, and then you latch onto the vertical chain lift, which takes you beyond the roofline where you enter a special windowed section of the building that gives you a nice view of the New York City skyline. And then it keeps you up there for a while so you can take in the view. And when those brakes stop you at the top, you can really feel and see the whole structure shake back and forth, which is a little unnerving. You creep over the top, and then down the 121.5 degree drop, and then round out the ride with 3 more inversions, a dive loop, a top hat, and then an Immelman before hitting the final brakes. So you can really break this ride down into 4 parts. The first Heartline roll, the launch, the other 6 inversions, and the world's steepest drop. The first Heartline roll provides some great hang time since you're really crawling through it, and it's a great way to start off a crazy ride. The launch I already talked about, it's great and it's powerful. The inversions are all classified as different types of elements, but they all feel about the same. They're all so huge. The corkscrews, the banana roll, the dive loop, the top hat, and the Immelman all shoot up to the ceiling and back down, which is awesome to be inverting that high off the ground and enjoy that big drop after each one. Finally, that drop really tosses you out of your seat, and you really feel that ejector airtime as the track wraps under itself. So let's talk about the trains. It seats 8 riders per train, 2 rows of 4 riders per row, and it has over-the-shoulder restraints. Would this be better with lap bars like on Hang Time at Knott's or Cannibal at Lagoon? Of course it would, but these restraints are not bad at all. They don't even touch my shoulders, but it still felt secure because it came down on my lap. There was no headbanging and they didn't feel overly restrictive, so you can still enjoy the ride pain-free and feel the airtime and the hang time. You wouldn't think there would be much difference between the rows because there's only 2, but there were some very noticeable differences. The front was insane because of the wind in your face and the intensity of the inversions, but you could also feel the track imperfections a little bit more. It seemed a little more rattly, and it had a couple of potholes, most notably at the bottom of that record-breaking steep drop. That pothole was actually quite jarring, but in the back, you hardly felt that pothole at all. It also felt like the back was a little less intense, but but it did have some better forces over that first dip after the turn out of the station and on that crazy steep drop. You're sacrificing the wind in your face and the intensity, but that smoother ride and the little bit of drag that you feel over those drops makes this a back row ride for me, but you should definitely try to ride both rows. I got a total of 3 rides on this, the first being in the back, the second being in the front, and the last ride being in the back. This is far and away my favorite new for 2019 ride that I've ridden, and it enjoys a very high spot in my top 50. I decided to place this right ahead of Cannibal. Despite being much taller and having lap bars, I think Shellraiser is a more complete ride and I rank it 1 spot higher, nearly cracking my top 20, placing just behind Time Traveler on my list. There wasn't much theming to speak of, other than a really nice entrance sign, and there was one pillar near the station that could be classified as theming, but that was it. The park definitely rushed its opening, and this was pretty bare bones, so over time I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more theming around the station, and even something enclosing the first dip and the Heartline roll so it's not just sitting out in the open. It's enclosed on Takabisha, and it seems like something easy the park can eventually do to make the beginning of this ride more thrilling. And also, on an interesting note, this ride does not have any footers. The support sticks straight into the floor, which acts as one giant footer. This ride is just pure fun, and it has so many elements to look forward to with that unique layout that features a great launch to kick off the first half, and that insane drop to kick off the second half. Throw in 7 inversions, 6 of them being massive and the other one having great hang time, and you got yourself an elite ride that will serve as a great headline attraction for the brand new Nickelodeon universe. So let me know what you think about TMNT Shellraiser, if I'm overrating this Gerstlauer Eurofighter, or if I'm right on. I want to hear it in the comments below. And until next time,
Go!